Now we're good. I think having the first talk in the morning is both good and both bad. It's bad for me because I know a lot of you has a lot of expectation from the speaker. Apparently, I'm kicking off the speaking sessions in the event, and it's good for audience because audience is very energetic and I don't know, very fresh after a party last night. So thanks for joining. I'm a little too tall, so I think I have to adjust myself like this, so I don't have to bend over for 30 minutes. Today here, we not only celebrate starting this great event, but also are going to talk about a very important problem that I think many of us in this room have experienced, both in personal and professional life. So that's a problem that I think is never more relevant, especially at this. Yeah, I think more. I'm gonna be more comfortable with that, with this. Okay. In the context of 2018, this problem and this talk wouldn't be any more relevant. And I'm happy that I'm given the chance by the great Greek community and WordCamp Foundation, WordPress Foundation. And the subject, as you can see, is WordPress and problem of diversity with a case study of Artbees. Let's start with the introduction of me. Who the heck am I? I'm Maziar Firuzmand. I'm a co-founder, product designer, and chief marketing officer, and a lot of other things at a company I have co-founded called Artbees. Artbees is a team development company, let's say, for now. We specialize at creating WordPress themes. And before starting the talk, I'm going to tell you what this talk is not going to be about, and then what's going to be about. I'm not going to promote a company or its products, Artbees or its products here. I'm here to talk about a contemporary, common, creepy, and callous problem. Yeah, I had a look in the dictionary, you can guess it, to find all these 4 words starting with C. They sound right and very relative. And this problem is related to all of us. I think all of us in this room, to some extent, have experienced it. But first, before talking about the diversity as a problem, we have to define the diversity. What is diversity? Before starting defining diversity, I need to start about what is the real root and the cause of lack of diversity. I'm going to talk about the notion of otherness. By the way, let me keep track of the time. Okay, we're good. Otherness is what causing the lack of diversity. So, I'm going to share some of the opinions of the key figures across the history about the notion of otherness. And then we will put them together like pieces of puzzle, and then we will conclude. So, Simone de Beauvoir, the renowned feminist and philosopher, in her famous book called The Second Sex, written in 1975, she says, man is the subject, and woman is the other. Some of these might sound, I don't know, a little vague or encrypted. I'm going to go through them and try to explain them as much as I can. But for now, let's just keep them next to each other. And after that, she says,
Whereas man's experience is central and absolute, woman's perceived as inessential, alien, and negative. So Dubois believes the other, to be a fundamental category of human thought. And then she concludes, the human mind bears an innate hostility to other consciousnesses. Okay, so I think this is starting to ring a bell in your mind. The hostility against the other. Keep this in your mind, keep this noted for a while. We're gonna switch to the second figure and talk about his opinion as well, Friedrich Hegel, the renowned German philosopher. In his book, Phenomenology of the Spirit, written in 1807, he argues the self characterizes anything which is not identical with itself as an inessential, negatively characterized object. So, whatever entity that is not me is basically a negative object. This is what Hegel argues. So this was the second one. We're gonna jump to the third opinion from my favorite psychiatric, Professor Jacques Lacan, which was then a student of Sigmund Freud, as you may know. So in one of his countless books called The Ego in Freud's Theory, written in 1954, he says, sometimes between the age of 6 and 18 years old, 18 months, the infant is able to recognize its own image in a mirror. It's like the infant sees herself or himself in a mirror and finds himself and confronts himself, encounter himself or herself for the very first time. By the way, since I'm talking about diversity, I have to be very watchful about this his and her. So sorry if it's distracting. As you can see, this is the first reaction. The kid says, that image is me. And that image is happening. The concept of you yourself is happening through an external relation. So for the first time, you say, okay, whatever I have known so far about myself was happening inside me, in my mind, and inside my mother's womb. So it's very first time that I see the other version of myself, which is not happening in my head, in my mind, and in my mother's womb. It is through an external relationship. So the world, for the first time, tells you that you are making sense, you are meaningful only through this second entity, not what you have in your head, what you have in your mind. So that's how a new chapter, a brand new era begins in humans' life. With after that moment that Lacan says, like, we have this pre-mirror, mirror, and post-mirror, evolution of humans' mind and character, and that's how important it is. And he explains, thus, after this moment of what confronting in the mirror, the formation of an I concept, the ego, occurs. Right after that moment, you understand you as an entity and how you have to protect it and how you are superior to other egos. So that I concept, that ego is formed, and that moment is where subject becomes object. Subject is what you have in your mind as a human, and then when you see yourself in the mirror and start to generate ego, you become an object. Can do things, can desire things, can communicate, can ask, can do. In other words, in order for the ego to be a subject, it must internalize a principle of otherness as a consequence of its own desire to be a desiring subject. If you want to desire something, you have to first acknowledge the otherness. The first experience of otherness is through this moment that you find you have this version in your mind as a subject, and then there is a version that you see in the mirror, and everyone else in the world sees you as that. That is your other version. So the concept of otherness is internalized and is first introduced at this moment, and it's institutionalized forever in you as a human. Okay, so what has these three figures, ideas about otherness in common is this: self and other. This binary, this opposition. And we will see what are the products of this binary and how it is resulting diversity. Because of the self-other binary, all of our knowledge and actions are rooted in some set of interests that cause the subjects of class, gender, ethnicity, and race. You name it, there's a lot of them. And I can say, I'm sure you'll agree that maybe 90% of all the tragedies we have had in the last century, and right now, the same amount of tragedies happening, unfortunately, is in a way caused by this. All the definitions of class, as I said, gender, ethnicity, race, these are caused by that concept of otherness. Like, I am superior than you, or you say you are superior than me. Man says I'm superior than the woman. White says I'm superior than the black. Or, you name it. Okay, let me check the time. Okay, 15 minutes. By the way, guys, I will do my best to make this less of a talk and more of a discussion, because diversity is, as it sounds, is about like plenitude of voices. Me coming and talking here and then you consuming what I talk is not a good symbol of diversity. So I will try to make this short and start this continue this as a discussion. Okay, so what was the last slide? Yeah, we talked about this self-other binary, right? Now this binary opposition of self-other is what has been causing fascism, gender inequality, patriarchy, and this. Okay, I don't need to comment on this. You can relate, very good. All right, now at this point we have come at the point that we defined otherness. Now, what is diversity? With all this in mind, what is diversity? This trending, lovely term that you see, this diversity, LGBTQ and all that, you know, everyone likes to talk about, and everyone acts as a diversity pro, business, company, figure, whatever. Diversity is not a trending hashtag, okay? It's not the Me Too campaign. It's not Emma Watson. Diversity dismantles the self-other binary and its products, the products that we just counted: racism, patriarchy. Diversity includes everything that we are and that we are not. Because when I say I, and that ego that I conceptualized when I looked at the mirror at the beginning, it just says only what I am matters. Now, diversity says the otherwise. It's you and everything except you that matters. Diversity talks about race, let's say not talk, but includes race, gender, religion, cultural backgrounds, age, disability, languages, and socioeconomic status. Embraces all of them. Okay, now this was more of an academic talk. I'm as bored as you are, but I'm gonna make this more relevant and apply this to the context of WordPress. How diverse is WordPress? Is it diverse at all? And how much diverse it is? Okay. The bus company behind WordPress Automattic is a distributed company in having 821 employees, speaking in 84 languages from 69 countries. Sounds good. In their website, Automattic, they have a page called diversity and, I guess, inclusion, in which you read, we see inclusion as the ongoing conscious effort to celebrate difference and welcome people of differing backgrounds and life experiences, whether they are current or prospective employees, partners, or users of our software. Very good. I'm just reviewing what I have found in WordPress from the different channels that relates to diversity. And then in code of the conduct that they have for their employees, they say you have to educate yourself about diversity, help make accessible and localized products and projects, which is good. If you want to become an employee in Automattic, you have to, respect this, among others. In 2014, Automattic started to work on facilitating spaces for discussions about diversity at Automattic. For the first time, they acknowledged diversity, and they said that we take this seriously in 2014. And Automattic, as a company, supports institutions or organizations like Tech Women, the Representation Project, Mother Coders, Accelerate LGBT, Outreachy, and some others, which are basically an example of how supportive they are about the matter of diversity. Andre Middleton, community organizer on the WordPress open source project, says, when WordPress events are more diverse, the WordPress project gets more diverse, which makes WordPress better for more people. Good, because someone at the top of the hierarchy, someone I guess who is working directly with Matt, is having this opinion. Good. And then we have Jill Binder. Jill Binder is the founder and leader of Diversity Outreach Speaker Training Workshop in Make WordPress. She has had this cause in her mind that many of us that are not from our minorities, are from diversity groups, are not the dominants, are not whites, I don't know, are not Americans, have a lot to talk about and have a lot of experiences worth sharing, but we hesitate to talk. We don't know what to talk about. And then she started this workshop to train people of minorities, groups of minorities, about talking, about sharing their experience and making them a talk worth attention. And she has held this workshop in 17 cities. 32 speakers have been trained, thanks to the efforts of her workshop. And 53 other people have expressed interest to hold similar workshops in 24 countries. So this is a valuable effort that is worth appreciation by Jill Binder. I wanted to give her a mention and recognize her for this. So, putting all these next to each other, we can say, or at least I can say, as someone who is coming from a minority group, let's say, WordPress is on the right track, pursuing a world without others that we talked for 15 minutes. And this is more important on the context of 2018, where you see waves of nationalism, ethnic and religious hate, and sexualized discourses are creeping across almost all countries in the world. Okay, I have 10 minutes. But nothing is perfect. Actually, the perfection doesn't exist. The perfect thing is a dead thing. There's always something yet to be done. And so is true about WordPress diversity. some stuff are missing. We don't have an independent diversity team in Make WordPress. We have training, we have core, we have design, we have marketing, we have polyglot, we have community marketing, everything. But we don't have diversity. We like to talk about it, and we do, but in action, we lack this as an independent team. Why there shouldn't be a independent team where every effort for diversity is integralized and is actually done within that group? I know that there has been efforts in the, I guess, this year's WordCamp Europe in Serbia to make this happen, but it didn't happen for any reason. So I'm going to use this opportunity as, use this talk as an opportunity to ask people in charge to make this happen. I, for one, can assure it will come, it will promise great results. Also, I want a round of applause for YOAST Diversity because of their Diversity Fund program, which pledges a minimum of 25,000 euros each year to support diversity of speakers at a given conference. So if you are a speaker that you are coming from a minority group, diversity group, and you think you have a story worth attention, you can ask them. They may support you. And I appreciate this. By the way, I'm not in any way benefited from this program or my company, but I just, in my research, understood this is happening, and I think it's worth mentioning. Okay, we said a case study of Artbees. What this all has to do with Artbees. Artbees was founded in 2010 by 3 non-American, non-white, non-techies. So we are badly minority, right? And it was founded in Iran by a graphic designer and cartoonist, an icon designer and performing arts graduate, me, and a medical school dropout and a web developer. It has nothing to do with technology, right? Except for Bob, which was like a part-time web developer back in time. We kicked off our work from an abandoned apartment garage. The same old startup story, but true. It was really true. I mean, I'm not just saying, as you can see. So we began our work with massive freebie contribution to DeviantArt. Some of you may have ideas like the past decade. Graphic design assets, actions, icons, you name it, all for free. So our contributions quickly gained momentum, landing spots in several design blogs, such as a smashing magazine, right? And then after that momentum, we started our WordPress activity. Our first WordPress attempts were all failed, rejected one after the other by Team Forest, the marketplace that we have started our work and are still working with. So after all those rejections in July 2013, after months of work, and barely a pizza a day, as you can see, we could finally submit Jupyter VP to Team Forest and hit the top seller's chart. We were happy. But a lot of bad things happened to us during these years. I don't want to mention them one by one, like to make it a dramatic story, but just to give you an idea, during years, we have been subject to different levels of discrimination and prejudice because of factors such as our non-tech backgrounds, our nationality, religion. When I say us, it's founders, us 3. So we had all this, but nevertheless, we survived. We grew and thrived. I guess I have 4 minutes. And Jupyter is 5 years old now. And Artbees has about 120,000 users and offices in Turkey, Germany, and US. Our team has 25 members from different countries across the globe: Turkey, Iran, Canada, Russia, Morocco, Colombia, US, Ukraine, India, Philippines, and a lot more. We have 7 female members from development to support to HR to marketing. Artbees evolved as a product of diversity in a world where diversity is not much tolerated. A place for people of different colors, genders, religions, tastes, and backgrounds. So we try to inject everything that we were deprived of during these 5 years into the team that we built. We emerged in a world where we were others, that we just talked about, and try to make a company where others does not exist. It's just only us and we. And before this, I know you were impatient for this slide. I'm going to thank Rafaela Isidori, my friend, for her inspiring tips to make this a better talk. And also my fellow bees, Ruz and Bob, who are in the room, and also you guys to bear with me. Thank you.